Does your partner monitor or control your spending? Do they guilt trip you into giving them money? Do they refuse to work while relying entirely on you? Do they make you feel selfish for setting financial boundaries? Do they use cultural or family obligations to justify financial dependence? Have they pressured you to quit your job or discouraged you from pursuing financial independence? If these situations sound familiar, keep listening. Hello, Money Nation, and welcome to our safe space for all things money and to episode 8 in season 3 of the Hot Money Talks podcast. If you are just joining the community for the first time, let me do a little introduction. My name is Christine Ishampepe, the Money Mechanic, and I help you fix your finances. My mission is to equip African millennials and Gen Zs with adequate financial literacy, advice, and strategy so they can journey to financial freedom and live life purposefully on their own terms and to the fullest, because money is no more a barrier. I want you to live your best life. The Hot Money Talks podcast is a series of honest, open, and transparent money conversations that will guide you on your journey to financial freedom. Here on the podcast, we believe 100% that financial freedom is possible with the right set of knowledge, the right amount of time, and the right circle of people. Thank you for being here. Now, in our last episode, we dealt with part 1 of the topic of financial abuse. And like I said previously, this topic is a 2-part series, and today we will dive deeper into the issue of financial abuse in romantic relationships. Now, when we think about abuse in relationships, physical and emotional abuse often come to mind, right? However, financial abuse is just as damaging. But it remains one of the least discussed forms of manipulation and control in relationships. Many people, especially in Nigeria and Africa, unknowingly experience financial abuse in their relationships, mistaking it for love, loyalty, or cultural obligation. The first thing for us to note here is that financial abuse in romantic relationships is often subtle and manipulative, making it difficult to recognize. While some cases involve outright control, where one partner restricts the other's access to money, other forms of financial abuse exist. Such kinds involve emotional manipulation and financial dependency. Now, these tactics can leave the victim feeling trapped, guilty, or obligated to provide financial support, even at their own expense. So today, I'm going to be putting these people into 3 categories or 3 groups. So we have group A, the emotional manipulation group. So some partners use emotional tactics to extract money from their significant other, making financial exploitation feel like an act of love, care, or duty. Now, here are some key characteristics of these people in this group. Number 1, they engage in a lot of guilt tripping and emotional blackmail. So you hear a partner constantly saying things like, if you really loved me, you help me out financially. They make their partner feel selfish or uncaring for prioritizing their own financial stability. And they create crises. Like, these are the people you call drama queens and drama kings. Real or exaggerated crisis to keep asking for money. So things like, I can't pay my rent and I have nowhere else to go, while refusing to take responsibility for their finances. I don't know if you've been in a situation like this, but these guys are master manipulators. Then we have another characteristic of such people in this group. There's a lot of love bombing. Love bombing followed by financial demands. So at the beginning of the relationship, you see partners like this showering their partner with affection, gifts, promises. And once trust is established, then they start asking for financial favors. You hear them say things like, just this once, I promise I'll pay you back. But over time, you now begin to see that their financial requests become more frequent and repayment never happens. Now, I have been in a situation like this, right? And it wasn't funny because I now found out that at some point that the person was even nurturing a relationship with another person self that apparently he was planning to marry, but then kept collecting money from me, right? And the money kept piling and I never got paid back. Then you have another characteristic of creating financial dependency through control. So for these guys, they insist on handling all the money in the relationship. They want to control access to bank accounts. They want to monitor every purchase, right? These ones are like the control freaks, right? And they discourage or outrightly even prevent their partner from working or earning independently. I'm not going to call names here. They manipulate their partners into quitting their job. So you hear them say things like, why do you need to work when I can take care of you? But only to later use finances as a tool of control. And this is dangerous because the person who controls your money controls your life. So this, in fact, this is a serious red flag that we need to look out for. And if you notice, I'm being careful not to call out a certain gender because the truth is financial abuse can happen to a man, it can happen to a woman. Okay? Of course, there are certain instances where, you know, some of the characteristics are usually found in a certain gender, but the general thing is that financial abuse can happen to both a man and both a woman, or can be done or carried out by a man or a woman. All right, so let's go to group B. Now, group B, these are the people who refuse to work while relying on one partner indefinitely. So they refuse to contribute financially to the relationship, but they expect the other partner to bear all the financial responsibilities indefinitely. So here are some key characteristics of these guys in this group. Number one, there's an unwillingness to earn. So you see a partner who refuses to work. And what are their reasons? The job market is tough. You know, adulthood, you know, and all of silly excuses. And they make no effort to gain skills or apply for jobs or contribute in other ways. They claim they are waiting for the air quotes perfect opportunity, but rely on their partner to cover bills, rent, and personal expenses. Then we have another characteristic, entitlement to financial support. So partners like this, they behave as though their partner owes them financial support. And any suggestion that they should find work or to contribute financially to the relationship is met with anger, accusations, or they start to guilt trip you and emotionally blackmail you. So saying things like, you know my situation. How can you even suggest that? How can you even say that? You know that I don't have a job. You know how tough it is getting a job in this my industry. And you're expecting me to contribute? How? They emotionally blackmail you. Then another characteristic is they spend without contributing. These ones are the odogu spenders. They insist that the partner who earns should handle all the bills while they spend freely on personal luxuries. They justify excessive spending with statements like, we're in this together, babe. So what's yours is ours. I hear you. Then a fourth characteristic is sabotaging the working partner's career. So you see partners like this in this category. They discourage or sabotage their partner's work by causing stress, creating distractions, or making them feel guilty for focusing on their job. They may even demand constant attention, try to even disrupt your work hours, or pick fights before important meetings, making it harder for their partner to progress financially, which I think is really funny because you're literally living off this partner. So why are you trying to sabotage the partner's progress in their career? But yeah, people are funny, right? Then we have the people in group C. So these guys, they use cultural or relationship expectations to justify financial dependence. Now, this kind of abuse is subtle but very common, especially in cultures where there are strict gender rules or, familial obligations are deeply ingrained. So such kind of abuse hides behind tradition or duty. but can leave the victim financially drained and emotionally manipulated. So some key characteristics here are: number one, guilt tripping based on gender roles. So for example, you hear things like, you're the man, it's your responsibility to provide, or you're the woman, you shouldn't earn more than me. Okay. Another characteristic is expecting full financial support without contribution. So one partner or family member uses cultural expectations to avoid working or building personal income. Black tax. And if you don't know what black tax is, just go to the playlist of this podcast and search for the episode on black tax. Then another characteristic is shaming independence. So you have such partners criticizing or demeaning a partner who wants to keep financial boundaries, accusing them of being proud, unsubmissive, or stingy. Again, I'm not calling names. Then there's the entitlement mentality. So the abuser believes that they're owed money or they are owed a certain type of lifestyle because of their role in the relationship. So, for example, as a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a sibling, or a firstborn child. I mean, in the case of like black tax or, family wahala. So you have the entitlements that, because I am, playing this particular role in your life, you owe me this. So for these ones, let me give a particular example. So there are some ladies, right, who feel that because their girlfriends, their boyfriends owe them some kind of, allowance, stipend, they just owe them because, I'm the girlfriend, so like you should fund my lifestyle. That is financial abuse of some sort. Then another characteristic is framing support as duty and not choice. So there's a whole lot of emotional pressure to provide, and it is masked as this is what any good partner would do. Then cultural weaponizing. Using phrases like in our culture or this is how our people do things to shut down financial boundaries or requests for shared responsibility. This is a lot. Now let's look at some real life examples. We have about 3 case studies, right, to look at. So the first case study is Tolu's story: love, guilt, and never-ending requests. Now Tolu is a 29-year-old HR professional in Lagos who met Kule, a struggling entrepreneur. At first, his small financial request seemed reasonable, right? Babe, I need 10,000 for internet to apply for jobs. Okay, cool. Can you loan me 50K? I'll pay you back once my business picks up. Okay, cool. But over time, the requests, they this gets like much more. And Kule never repaid her. Whenever she hesitated, he would start to guilt trip her, saying, I thought you loved me. If you can't help your man, who will help your man? You're stressing me instead of supporting me, babe. Tolu kept giving because she didn't want to seem selfish. But years passed and Kule remained financially irresponsible, living off her income. What can we learn from this case? We can learn that love should not come at the cost of financial security. If your partner constantly demands money and makes you feel guilty for saying no, you are experiencing financial abuse. Let's look at case study 2. Chioma's story: carrying the financial burden alone. Now, Chioma is a 32-year-old nurse in Abuja who married Emeka, who was unemployed at the time they got married. She believed, okay, when we get married, he'll find a job. But after the wedding, he made no effort to look for work. He always had an excuse. The job market is bad. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, he spent his days watching Netflix and playing video games. Chioma paid all the bills: rent, utilities, food, and even Emeka's personal expenses. And when she suggested he get a temporary job, he got defensive, saying, you want me to settle for less, eh? Are you saying I'm not man enough? Your job is to support me as my wife. Chioma realized she was not in a partnership. My sister, she was in a financial trap. What can we learn from this? If one person in a relationship refuses to work while the other carries all the financial burden indefinitely, it is not love. It is financial abuse. Now, the third case study: Buki. A woman's money is for the home. Buki, a 34-year-old accountant based in Ibadan, was married to Ayo, a small business owner who faced financial instability. From the early days of their marriage, Ayo insisted that as a man, it was beneath him to let his wife pay rent or school fees. Benny. But paradoxically, he constantly expected Buki to support whenever his finances ran low. Whenever Buki hesitated or suggested joint budgeting, he would say, "So you want people to say I can't take care of my family? Are you trying to emasculate me?" In our culture, a woman's money is meant to support her home, not to be hoarded. And when Buki tried to save for her master's degree, Ayo accused her of being selfish and planning to leave the family behind. She found herself paying for most expenses while still being expected to keep quiet, submit, and never bring up the imbalance, because culturally, a woman must support her man in tough times. After 5 years, Buki was financially burnt out and her dreams were on hold. She realized she wasn't in a partnership. She was being emotionally manipulated under the guise of tradition. What can we learn from this case? Number one, cultural values should not be twisted into tools of manipulation. Secondly, equal respect in relationships also include financial fairness. Number three, traditional roles can coexist with shared financial responsibility, but they should never be used to silence one partner's financial vote. And finally, love should never make you feel guilty for having goals, financial goals, or protecting your money. So after all is said and done, let's talk about how to protect yourself from financial manipulation. Whether you're in a financially abusive relationship or not, here are some steps that you can take to protect yourself from being victimized further. Number one, set clear financial boundaries. Learn to say no without guilt. You're not responsible for carrying another adult indefinitely. Please. I always say, money no dey look face. Everybody has a responsibility to their finances. So you shouldn't be responsible for babysitting someone and their financial problems indefinitely. Encourage financial independence. If a partner is genuinely struggling, which is sometimes the case, encourage them to seek job opportunities, upskill, or start a side hustle. Keep your finances separate. That's the third tip. Have personal savings and financial plans that do not depend entirely on your partner. And this is so important, especially in people in marriages, or relationships where there is abuse, and not just even financial abuse. Sometimes people are in such toxic relationships where they are even being physically abused and their life is threatened. Better save somewhere, because if at any point you need to leave, which you actually should, and this is your cue to leave if you're in a relationship like that, you have an emergency fund that can help you start life again. Then, for those who are not yet in financially abusive relationships, and I pray you don't get into any, watch out for red flags early. If someone expects financial support very early in a relationship or avoids taking responsibility for their own finances, red flag. Red flag. This is why having money conversations with your partner is important early in the relationship. Don't wait until you are married to have conversations about money. Then finally, seek support, of course. Talk to trusted friends, financial mentors, or even professional counselors if you feel trapped in a financially abusive relationship. All right. So as we wrap up this episode, here are some of my final thoughts. Love should never come at the expense of financial security. Yeah? If a partner continuously manipulates you for money, refuses to contribute, or makes you feel obligated to finance their lifestyle, it is a sign of financial abuse. Financial independence is and should be an essential part of a healthy relationship. Both partners should work towards mutual financial stability and not one-sided dependency. You must never forget that whoever controls your money controls your life. So be careful. Would you like to share your experiences or thoughts on this topic? Let's continue the conversation in the comments, or you can send me an email at talktothemoneymechanic@gmail.com. Did you enjoy today's episode? Thank you for listening. Sharing is caring, so please go ahead and share this episode with someone you want to see win with their finances this year and beyond. It would mean the world to me if you took a few minutes to leave me a review in the comment section of this podcast so that others can see your endorsement and join the community of listeners who enjoy this podcast. If you have any burning questions that you would like me to answer on the podcast, please shoot me an email via talktothemoneymechanic@gmail.com and let me know your dilemma. Don't forget that new episodes of the Hot Money Talks podcast drop every Saturday, and you can listen to them on your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Subscribe and follow the show on either of these platforms so that you are notified whenever an episode is released. Recommendations are powerful, so please tell your friends and family about this podcast so we can go on this journey together. To connect with me on other platforms, do well to follow The Money Mechanic at The Money Mechanic page on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I hope most importantly that you will take action on your finances today. Sending you love, light, and a sprinkle of money in between.